from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Hello and good. I guess we're now at Wednesday this week. The week is flying by at this rate. Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I'm forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Center this evening. Really kind of watching over all the trends we got going on. As you might have heard, there's going to be a winter storm this week, and I'm sure you've heard all about it. And it looks like Jan's already on top of it, siblings already on top of it. I'm happy everybody is good to hear me, and it's great to see where everybody is tuning in from. Lots of Leonardtown representation, seeing several Charles County as well. I grew up in Calvert County, so I'd like to see some Calvert County representation. But I'm forecaster John Bordash here with you for who knows how long, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Last night went 41 minutes. Going over all the latest information we have to go over with this winter storm potential moving here into the weekend. There are things we know, and there are just things we don't know. I will just get this out of the way. One thing that we don't know. I see Laura's in Sunderland and Calvert. I like it. There we go. One thing that we don't know and that I can't tell you is how much your backyard is going to be getting. I do not yet have a first call snowfall forecast, and I probably will be issuing that tomorrow when I get home from school. The people who will receive this forecast first will be my students because they all want to know what's going on. So I'll get that to them tomorrow. But tomorrow afternoon is when you'll see the first numbers from me. It is very likely that you will see numbers published by like news stations and stuff before me. I don't typically get home till about 4 or so, and then I got to work on the map and the write-ups. So yeah, I can't tell you if you're getting a foot of snow or not. Your Apple weather, your iPhone apps have been telling you lots of stuff the last week or so about this, and we're beginning to see things plot twist change, and some people are getting a little upset, which is sad. But let's get into all the latest stuff. I'll kind of walk you through the forecast here, answer some questions as we go through, and maybe even give you some science behind the forecast. So we have raised the JB risk index up to a level 4. I think it is very likely we are looking at this winter storm potential as we head into the weekend. This is 2 to 3 days. It's more like 3 to 4 days right now. But milk, eggs, bread, if you're me, maybe coffee and goldfish will be, I think, needed. This does not say we're going to be looking at a lot of snow necessarily. Not that we're looking at another Snowmageddon. What this does say, though, is now is the time to start thinking, if I need to get a shovel, where am I going to get one from? If I need to get salt, if I need to get, I don't know, unperishable items in case I were to lose power, let's say. Not that I'm forecasting that, but it's definitely something that we are going to be watching, and I think we're confidently at this stage where we can say this storm is happening. The question is kind of where is it going? This afternoon, we already have over 1,500 miles worth of winter storm watches stretching from New Mexico and southern Texas outside of San Antonio all the way through Shreveport, Memphis, getting through Tennessee, getting on up into southwestern Virginia. You can see that those watches are kind of knocking right on the door of the D.C. metro area, southern Maryland, central Virginia. I would anticipate winter storm watches to get issued sometime tomorrow. That's typically, where we start to get into the time frame when these would be issued. If I take a wild guess, they're probably going to be issued tomorrow midday because that's when I'm at school and can't post about it. Ideally, these would be posted overnight tonight, and we would be talking about it tomorrow morning. But it's possible that watches get issued later on. It's really just kind of a semantics thing. I think regardless of if we have a winter storm watch issued at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., the impacts will still be the same. Let's talk about the early outlook. Let's get right to this. This is the closest thing I'm going to give you to a snowfall forecast right now with kind of what we're tracking. This is where my mind is kind of leaning. People want to know, JB, what behind the scenes forecast, what are you thinking? And I don't know if I think that intensely just yet, especially without enough coffee. But this is what we're looking at. Our area low pressure, we've seen over the last 24 hours or so. We were talking about this last night that we're looking at a northern shift here with the storm track. Earlier in the week, this Sunday and Monday, this storm was modeled to be well to the south, and southern Maryland was on the northern fringe of seeing anything, and then it started to shift north, and you saw your apps start to forecast crazy amounts. There are even a couple of pages that I follow just to keep tabs on people. Some pages are specific to southern Maryland that have been posting snowfall forecast showing 18 inches plus in the region. Insane. Any good forecaster, I don't even care if they're trying to show you solutions. The issue is you show someone 18 inches of snow. I showed you my Apple Weather app for Solomon at one point showed like 16 inches plus. You see that people didn't kind of go with it, but we're seeing a northern shift in this forecast, and this has started to change, a little bit of what we were looking at. And this forecast, it's there in yellow, is going to continue to evolve. Nothing is set in stone, and things will continue to change. If you want to, concrete forecast this far out, it'll be difficult. I think what your eyes immediately go to is kind of where you're located. Let's start where most people that follow GB Weather are located, and that's Southern Maryland. It's not zoomed in for a reason because the details of whether or not Waldorf's in something or Akiki or Lusby, it doesn't matter at this point. It's too fuzzy. But I think everybody in the Mid-Atlantic will start as snow and likely heavy snow Sunday morning. I think, and timing is beginning to get a little bit more ironed out. It looks like this winter storm is going to be moving in, let's say, Saturday evening technically, but probably close to midnight. This is primarily a Sunday event. I think everybody sees snow Sunday morning. It will be heavy at times. And then areas I do think will go over to a period of wintry mix. I have never in 13 and a half years forecasted a mid-Atlantic winter storm that did not, or like a big storm like this that did not feature some sort of mixing southeast of I-95. That is a reality. People who have lived in this region can tell you that just happens. Now, how much mix are we talking about, and how much will it cut down on totals remains to be seen. But I do think that area there in purple, it's heavy snow to mix. I don't know if it's going to be rain at all. I don't think so. But potentially a decent bit of sleet. It is to the south through Virginia and into the Carolinas where you're looking at high icing impacts. Where we're looking at primarily snow are those shades of blue. Significant snow impacts look very likely across the Shenandoah Valley, northern Maryland, central and southern Pennsylvania, West Virginia, all the way back just north of Nashville and Memphis. Latest modeling and get some of the significant snow. And when I say significant, I'm thinking, over, double-digit snow, potentially getting into New York and Boston. Snow tapers as you head further north. We've been tracking and monitoring that area of high pressure to the north that's delivering this Arctic cold air. How strong is it, and how far to the south does it really press? Modeling today suggests maybe not necessarily as strong, and maybe some new things happening with the area low pressure that allows for a couple of things to happen. Let's take a look at it. Our American model, I want to start here. This has been the model that has been the furthest to the south throughout this forecast period. This model also came north, but it remains on the southern envelope of all possible solutions. It's more of just an offshore track where you see a typical southern slider, one consolidated piece of energy kind of move across the southeast, move off the Carolina coast out to sea. What this would do is keep the entire Mid-Atlantic all snow all the time. And for those that are rooting for all snow in the Mid-Atlantic, especially in southern Maryland, you are probably rooting for the American model. And this could definitely promote, up to a foot plus in some areas. And I will show you a general look at what snow totals could look like with this. But this is definitely one option. I don't know if it's the likeliest option. Maybe I give it a 45% chance of happening. We have our European model, though, that I do think has a higher chance of verifying just given what we have going on. Granted, we're 3 or 4 days out, so it's hard to say for sure. But what this model actually does is it takes the initial area of low pressure and it does something interesting. It almost jams it against the Appalachian Mountains, and with the high pressure up north, it can't go anywhere. Think of, a football game. You got defensive linemen. You can't just, rush unless you're on the Washington Commanders. You can't just rush on either a defensive line. And so what we're going to see occur is this area low pressure goes up against the mountains. There's high pressure to the north. It can't go anywhere, so it's going to die and transfer its energy to the coast. It's complex. All you need to know is that a new coastal storm would begin to develop, and it's going to push up to the north and east. This is a much further to the north track, and this even gets some icing, wintry mix stuff into southeastern zones. This is definitely a map that many people are used to seeing for a mid-Atlantic snowstorm, and it would shift that heaviest snowfall up to the north. If we were looking at a coastal solution, this is what we're looking at. I'm not going to show you a model data. This is kind of how I would interpret it. Area in pink there, that's icing, potentially starting as snow, but icing could be an issue. Significant snows there within that between the purple and the pink. That would be double-digit plus, so 10 inches plus potentially with the coastal solution. This has that 55% chance of happening. That's literally what this would produce is this. That would focus those significant snows locally northwest of I-95, getting up towards New York City. Moderate snows, half-foot plus, up towards the Boston area, and then minor snows well to the north, up towards your Great Lakes. If we look at that offshore solution, though, where that storm kind of moves to the southeast and then kind of gets kicked off to shore, again, about a 45% chance of this, which is not a 0% chance. What this shows is icing throughout the southeast. I mean, you're getting down to Atlanta near New Orleans. That significant double-digit plus snow would be focused south of Washington, D.C. Southern Maryland snow lovers would love to see this, where it's going to be focusing that heaviest snow. Moderate snows up to the north. I mean, my decent following in Pennsylvania, where I now live and work. Half foot plus, that's not nothing. And again, heavy emphasis on the plus. These are generalities. Tomorrow you'll see snowfall forecast for me that I've like defined ranges like a 6 to 12 or an 8 to 14 or whatever. This is just a general double digit plus, half foot plus, few inches. So this is kind of the potential we have kind of setting up. So if we were to summarize it into just a couple of headlines, this definitely looks like it's going to be moving in late Saturday. And by late, I mean we're getting close to like midnight Saturday night. The heaviest action is likely to be Sunday, especially Sunday morning, between about sunrise and probably about midday. I mean, I think it'll last all day Sunday, but there are some unknowns. Let's just go down there. How far north is the storm going to track, and how far north does that mix line get? Is it going to be a situation like this where the mixing stays well to the south, like what has been shown the last several days? Or is the mixing, that icing, going to go much further north and potentially get into southern Maryland? If you want my professional opinion, just looking at the science and looking at, my experience, I would tend to favor a blend between this and this, which I know sounds like weatherman speak to kind of cover, as we say, CYA, cover my ass. Genuinely, it would be somewhere kind of in between, where I think generally everyone is going to start to snow. I think that is kind of a foregone conclusion. I do think areas southeast of I-95 will mix with sleet and freezing rain at some point. I don't think it's going to be an all-out ice storm, but I could be wrong. I don't think this goes over to all rain for anybody north of Richmond. I do think that you are going to be talking, let's go back here a little bit. I do think your heaviest snows probably will be northwest of I-95. I think that's where you have the best shot to see it over a foot, maybe even a foot and a half in some locations. But time will tell, right? Tomorrow we'll be issuing that actual first call where we're going to be zooming into our region so you can see what is Cobb Island going to get versus Leonardtown versus Lusby versus Prince Frederick, and what about Frederick? What about Winchester? What about Culpeper or York up in Pennsylvania or Georgetown, Delaware? These are just generalities right now. The picture's too fuzzy. We haven't developed the photograph enough. We can generally tell it's going to be a dog, but what kind of dog is it going to be remains to be seen. And maybe we can tell maybe a golden retriever given some of the colors that are coming through, but it's again remains to be seen kind of how old is the dog, gender, those sorts of things. So again, as we take a look at the headlines, I think we're looking at a Sunday event. I think your Saturday plans are fine. The questions are going to start coming in, I'm sure. JD, I have this, and this happening Sunday. Blanket statement, no, you're not. There's a SpongeBob bit where this character is trying to act like SpongeBob, and he's like, I'm ready. And Sandy Cheeks was like, no, you're not. Folks, you're not doing anything on Sunday. Now, there will be the people that say, well, JB, I'm a nurse. I do that stuff, understandable, but you're not going to weddings. Flying out of Baltimore and D.C. is not happening on Sunday. It's not going to occur. It's not going to happen in Philly. It's not going to happen in New York or Harrisburg or Pittsburgh. It just isn't. And I can tell you that even if this is an all-out ice storm, good luck getting a plane out of DCA with heavy freezing rain. So Sundays, not much is happening. And if we use a little common sense, even in the warmest scenario here where it is half a foot of snow going over to icing, do you genuinely think there will be schools on Monday? Spoiler alert, probably not. And probably not Tuesday either. I think seeing a couple of snow days next week is definitely on the table. I'm hesitant to say guaranteed, but definitely on the table. But heavy impacts are likely across the Mid-Atlantic, significant impacts at that. This to me does not read as a blizzard, and I want to make a distinction here. And I talked about this today with my students because they're like, Mr. Bordash, this is going to be a blizzard. Blizzards have very unique characteristics that we would be looking for. It does not matter how much snow you get. It does not matter the temperature or whatever. The two criteria for a blizzard, you need winds of 35 miles per hour, wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour for 3 hours. You also need heavy snow, blowing snow that drops visibility below a quarter mile for a sustained period of time. This does not look like a wind-driven storm. Like this storm, at least as things stand right now, is not going to rapidly deepen off of the East Coast and produce a widespread swath of high winds. This isn't going to be like the blizzards of 09-10 or the blizzard of 96 or the President's Day storm in 03 or did I mention the blizzard of 2016? I don't think it's going to be like that. Even a couple years ago, that kind of surprise snowstorm in 2022, where it was right after New Year's and it dropped a surprise 15 inches in Huntingtown, and I-95 was shut down near Fredericksburg for like a week. That had a lot of wind. I don't think wind is going to be an issue here. I genuinely think it is going to be a fluffy snow for most until you start to introduce sleet. Then, of course, it may get a little wet. But, I mean, temperatures are going to be in the 20s. We're going to be looking at a fluffy snow that will help it kind of accumulate more, almost a fluff factor. And when we talk fluff factor, I mean, you have dry air, get more air pockets so it doesn't get compact as much. I love a good analogy. You can tell that I'm a teacher. If you think of like when you have a dude, and like I have students all the time, they're like, Mr. Bordash, I'm taller than you. Well, I'm 5'9", that's not difficult to do. But like these students are like kind of close to me, they appear taller because they have higher hair than I do. My hair is not that tall at all. The fluff factor there, it kind of boosts what you would assume. A little platform in the shoe might do that as well. That's what fluffy snow does. When it's drier, you get fluffier snow. You get more air pockets integrated with it. When you have a wetter snow, it's warmer. There's more moisture content, and it takes more moisture to produce a snowflake. So I think that's what we're looking at. And Matt, yes, I am. I did take Friday as a personal day so I can track the weather. At 100%, 100%. I have the days, might as well use it. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at. All right, so I think that's a nice overview. There's about 800 of you in here. At one point, there was like thousands. And that's honestly kind of the overview that I can give you. Anything else I start to say is going to start repeating, so it might be time to get into the behind the scenes. For those of you that just wanted a quick forecast, you're probably free to log off. I'm not going to introduce any new information. I will have like a 6-7 minute video. You tell I teach middle school. That kind of goes over the core information posted when we finish up this live stream. But now's a good time for a little behind the scenes, get into some of the science, or get some of the models. I know not necessarily everybody's going to look forward to, but we're down for it. I do see somebody asking about a Saturday, Sunday. To me, this looks like a Saturday after sunset, probably close to midnight Saturday. This is primarily a Sunday event. Tucker wants to know about range of amounts. Again, it's still a bit early to say range of amounts. This is kind of what's on the table with our two solutions. A coastal solution might produce, I think, double-digit snows somewhere. Coastal solution has that further to the north, focused northwest of I-95, where an offshore solution would suggest double-digit snows, over a foot of snow south of Washington because the storm is further to the south. Anne says she needs some fluff in her hair, and yep. And Leslie, I like you love my explanations. This is what it's like sitting in my class having me explain to you the Revolutionary War. Lisa, 0 to 80 inches sounds like an amazing forecast, and if I could just forecast that, it would be great. What my mother says is, John, you have a job in which you get paid to be wrong 50% of the time. I don't know if she's talking about teaching or the weather. I assume the weather. But power outages for St. Mary's, that's one of those like fuzzy details. I don't think there's going to be power outages because you have 50-mile-per-hour winds with this storm. If there are power outages, it's because you have the heavy precip that could potentially be, if it becomes like an icing event, that's going to be something that we're going to watch. Breeze, 6-7 inches, we'll see. Wendell, another repeat of 2022. It's a potential. I think it's a low potential, though. I don't think this is going to be like such a mesoscale storm. Folks, in 2022, that snowstorm quite literally gave Baltimore 0 inches and Huntingtown 15. I have never seen a tight gradient like that set up over Southern Maryland before. And there were like 45-mile-per-hour winds, and there were like 50,000 customers without power. don't think that's going to happen. Flying out of BWI, you're not doing it on Sunday, and Saturday after sunset, you're not leaving either. I think, and there's always questions about like airports. I have never flown on an airplane, so I do not know where airports operate, nor will I claim to know. I would just guess, given the setup, anytime between, let's say, 8 p.m. Saturday to like 8 a.m. Monday, I would not expect any flights. Mel, love to see the middle school representation. Any indication the storm could slow down, Nicholas wants to know. Definitely possible. The more we look at a northern solution and we rely on this transfer of energy, the slower the storm will develop. Can you explain the issue with 0.25 versus 0.5 or 1 inch of ice? Gail, that is really good. And I have a graphic. I need to pull this up because it's a good graphic, and I've never really been able to like reproduce it because I just took a screenshot like I don't know how many years ago. I want to see, does this exist? Is it maybe widespread? Yes, this is it. Oh, that is super blurry. Ice impacts scale. You would think I would have done this initially, so I don't have to spend time kind of going through this. I like this, but it's so wordy. Okay, I think this is fine. Let me bring y'all over. Get you into the weather computer. There we go. Yeah, quite literally on Google. Because when I tried to show y'all, it was blurry. This is also kind of blurry, but it might do the job. It looks like it's a Facebook post. Maybe I can just load Facebook up. Maybe Ross Elliott. Thank you. All right. I like this because it's simplistic and it's not too complex. When we look at ice, under a tenth of an inch, you're just looking at slick stuff. Typically, that's when you get school delays. You looked at like the higher impacts once you get over a quarter inch because you're starting to really kind of pile up that ice accretion, and that's what we would consider an ice storm. I like this graphic a lot. Icy roads, slick roads when you get over a tenth of an inch. So this is a nice overview. I think, and again, it's hard to even forecast ice this far out. But areas down to the south, they might see that half inch to inch of freezing rain. Where I don't think we're talking half an inch of ice here in southern Maryland. However, I mean more than a tenth of an inch potentially. More than a tenth of an inch potentially. I guess as I answer questions, it might be helpful if I come back here. All right. That's not what I wanted to do. Thank you. That's what I wanted to do. What about Pennsylvania? What is the snow looking like for Pennsylvania? I think you're looking at significant impacts. Who asked that? Stephen. Kind of south of State College is where I would kind of favor. What is that? South of I-80 is where I think you look at those highest impacts. I'm in the Harrisburg area. I teach down in the York area, so like I got a lot of followers out there. And I promise the students again because they're like, oh my God, Mr. Bordash, you gave us a shout out. Hello to period 1. Then the kids are like, oh my God, Mr. Bordash, what's the weather forecast? You do this weather thing and it's like real. It's not fake. We thought you were lying. So many kids thought I was lying. I did the weather. Who lies about that? My arthritis is predicting nothing until Sunday and Monday. Thank you, Tanya. Please keep us updated. I'm going to be interested to know. Power outages, Natalie, not specifically from wind, but like, if there's heavy precip, you kind of always risk that. Seems like California's Salamis is around the line of a mix with ice. Southern Maryland is kind of solidly in that purple zone. That pink zone really is focused really, really, really for the Carolinas, not so much for our region just yet. Thank you, Faye. I appreciate the compliment. Power is out for us in Kingdom. Yeah, Wendell, I read that 2022 storm. I was in Prince Frederick for it. That was crazy. Goldfish forecast. I will be going to the store tomorrow after work, probably in the evening after I do the live stream. In the very least, I see I see big boxes of goldfish, maybe 2. We'll see. I would leave Friday for flying. Yeah, Gloria, that I would also agree. Thoughts on accumulation totals prior to ice? Neil, if it's again caveat, difficult to say this far out. If we were to see, you would see snow before the ice. Probably in that blue zone, the moderate half foot plus. I think everybody sees snow Sunday morning. The question is, if in the afternoon you go over to any any ice. I do think everybody in the region should see half a foot. Official forecast tomorrow, but you would still thump snow Sunday morning. Heavy snow up to an inch an hour rates. Already scheduled high school kids to take us out. Billy, I love it. Hi from Calvert. Leslie helping for 10 inches plus. We'll see. Who's that? Vicky, you're really rooting for that southern solution then, that offshore potential. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate the compliment. Is this storm going to be a 2015 snowstorm? Patrick, I think you're asking about 2016. And Patrick and Heather Irving, you're another one of those. We talked about these people last night that have been with JB Weather since the very beginning. You've been here all 12 and a half years. 2016 storm, I don't think it's that big. I don't think you're looking at like 2 feet plus totals anywhere. I could be wrong. It's like a mini version of like those bigger storms. Like for a homeschooler, they still have school. Jamie, yep, that is very true. Lisa, subplans are written and printed for Friday. It should be an easy day for the kids, so hopefully there is no excuse. I also probably should start thinking about their virtual work potentially for next week, but that will be a problem we cross when we get there next week. Going to Nashville for my 21st this weekend. Elizabeth, good luck. I would leave before sunset on Saturday. Oh, and you're going to Nashville? I lie. You're probably not getting down there at all unless you leave tomorrow. Down in Nashville, they're going to see that precip moving early on Saturday. Early. What are the odds for a more northern solution versus the southern? Carrie, this is kind of your southern solution, your offshore potential. I'd give this 45% chances, and I would give this maybe 50% chances, that coastal solution. When would we expect the storm to start? Probably close to midnight, Saturday night going into Sunday. No ice. We don't like the ice. Where are we calling the ice and snow line? Tara, a bit difficult to see at this point. Got a couple of solutions here. I mean, I got my European model that brings that freezing rain and sleet right up to Washington, and then I got my American model that keeps that sleet all the way down south of Richmond. So good luck figuring that out, and good luck to me tomorrow trying to develop a forecast. It'll be somewhere. That'll be a correct forecast. Church closure Sunday, of course, all good church. I mean, who am I to deny anybody the power and grace of God? However, I would imagine many buildings will be closed on Sunday. How's Annapolis, William? You're looking at snow. Thanks for the goldfish. Yeah, 2 big boxes potentially. Definitely at least 1 big box. But if up here where I'm at near Harrisburg, we get more, like we get that bullseye of snow, we might need 2 boxes just to last us. Charles County, Melissa, I think ice is definitely a possibility down in Charles County after a period of heavy snow. Yep, the tree's official forecast coming out tomorrow afternoon when I get home. I'd expect that probably around 4:30, 5 o'clock. I will probably be the last outlet to be putting out a snowfall forecast. I imagine many outlets and online posters will have snowfall forecasts out maybe as early as tomorrow morning or around lunchtime. 4 o'clock newscast, I'm sure Doug Kammerer will have out his snowfall forecast. Probably about 4 o'clock when they start the news. I'm going to be a little bit later just because I don't get home until late. Time for tomorrow's update, probably about 4:35. Covered either closes schools or testing and stays open for 10 inches. You know, that is very, very true. Hoping for less than 6 here. Kayla, you might be the only person hoping for less snow in southern Maryland. I have faith in the 12 inches, right, Ryan? That is, maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. Leslie wants to know about the goldfish thing. Leslie, this probably I mean, it's been a thing for years at this point. But when we get big storms, I am typically, my weather center is our basement with a closed door. I could be locked in this room doing weather coverage, like big snowstorms. I can be locked in a room like all day doing shit. And yeah, it's not like I'm really leaving to get food. So I will have a bag of goldfish. I'm sorry for cursing. I just realized that kind of slipped out, but I guess it's true. We're locked in here doing stuff the entire time, trying to get stuff together. But yeah, that's what the goldfish is. So how much goldfish am I going to need? Am I just down here for like a 30-minute tornado warning, or am I down here for a 2-day snow event? The longer I'm down here, the more goldfish we're going to need. Valley Forge, PA. Christine, it's funny. I just thought about Valley Forge earlier this week with my kids with the Revolutionary War. I think you were at least on tap to see half a foot. Kevin, my mom can tell you vivid memories of the 1994 ice storm. That's right. When she moved to Maryland from New York, she said, "What is this ice thing? In New York, we get snow." Frank, I actually wouldn't say Southern Maryland's the hardest place to predict the weather. And it's funny, you will go anywhere in the country and people say this area is the hardest to predict. The honest truth is that the weather is just difficult to predict. Now, some areas you have different challenges, but you're forecasting like what's going to happen over the course. Like the atmosphere isn't just what you see. There is like miles worth of like cloud base to like ground that you're trying to figure out. How do temperatures move? It's all difficult. Mount Airy, Barbara, I think you're looking at all snow up that way. We're kind of getting down to the bottom here, which is nice. I think we'll lose power, Mary. I don't know. Maybe heavy precip tends to forgo power outages, but I don't think you're looking at heavy high winds for that at least. St. Mary's snowmelt, Anthony. That's a bit difficult to say. I mean, if this coastal solution happens, you're looking maybe half a foot before you go over to icing. If it's a southern solution, you're going to be looking at more like a double-digit snow because you never go over. Kim, repping our York area. Kim, I think we're looking at decent. I mean, even in the southern solution, I think York gets it on at least half a foot. Northern solution, which is what I favor right now, kind of puts us in that double-digit plus zone. Okay, I think I made it to the bottom of the questions. And there's still 500 of y'all sticking around. Normally people don't hang out this long for my questions, or for me to answer questions. I guess what I can do before I kind of let y'all go is go over some of the latest modeling we're looking at, show you what's going on with it, so you kind of get an idea of what's up play. So let's get you on over into our models. Let's start first with our European. That's the northernmost model extent right now. A lot of people like the European. It has a long history of accuracy. Better physics and math go into this model than the American model, and it has been that way for a long time. All right, this is Thursday. Not much going on for a nice general marker. This is oh yeah, there you go. That's DC. That's where that is. That's where you're kind of paying attention to. Not much going on across the region. I mean, Friday, not much. Maybe a spotty rain shower or something. But you can start to see where the outer edge of precip exists all the way out west, where you have snow, ice, rain. Sir, as one might call it. This is about, 10 a.m. Saturday? So for somebody who was asking about Nashville, yeah, Saturday, 10 a.m., it is already on your doorstep in Nashville, moving through Texarkana, and this puppy starts to move on over. And what you're going to notice, area of low pressure here is going to move up towards the mountains and kind of get blocked because you got high pressures up to the north. They will stop any northward movement. So it's going to force it to reform a low out here. You're going to see this. I'm going to keep these markings here on the screen so you can see what's happening. Watch this. Yeah. And then look, you get a new low to pop right there along the coast. Folks, it's really going to come down, and let's get rid of this and maybe even zoom into the mid-Atlantic a little bit. If we're looking at ice potential, your question, I mean, again, everybody starts as snow. Look at that. Everyone's snow. Everyone is snow. For that ice potential, how close does this low pop? If this comes this far north, if it pops up along the Atlantic beaches like that, oh, you are looking at a lot of ice. It's going to be plenty cold, but it's going to warm the upper atmosphere. You would want to see that low pop about 50 to 100 miles further south and east. But this is 4 p.m. So, like, if we bring this back a little bit, this would be 7 p.m., 10 p.m. on Saturday, 1 a.m. Sunday, 4 a.m. Sunday, 7 a.m. Sunday. Again, you're thumping snow in the morning, and then by about lunchtime, 10 o'clock, you start to see that wintry mix creep northward. 1 p.m. getting up along I-95. But one of my favorite weather outages I learned when I was in college was for the heaviest snows, you want to smell the rain. That's to say, look, you have your heaviest snow right through here. On the literal other side of that is an icy mix. It's not like you have an area of heavy snow and then light snow and then you go to a wintry mix. You're going to be bumping that heavy snow right on the other side of that mix line. But this is 4 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Sunday, 10 p.m. Sunday. We're still lingering. 1 a.m. Monday, and then 4 a.m. Monday. It begins to finally get out of here. If I take us to that United States view, let's take a look at some of the upper air components. Let's get some heights in here. 500 millibar vorticity. This really just shows us where we have energy in the atmosphere. That's the easiest way I know how to put it. This is the puppy right here, where that's going to be delivering our cold air. Typically, the brighter these colors, you're going to be looking at more energy that can help to induce more precipitation at the surface, typically. And these, like, I don't know, you have state lines and you have other black lines that just represent like heights and like how, like, essentially think of it like pressure here at the surface. I know that some of this might not mean much to some of you. But I want you to watch. You're going to watch this puppy go down to the south, and then we're going to look at this come towards Baja, California. So keep those two spots in mind. Let's start to move this over. And you can literally see how things are rotating in the atmosphere, right? This is Thursday. This is before our warm-up. We get up to 50, and look, on the screen now, you have that area low pressure. That's what's piece of energy really enhancing this storm here at the surface. Down there off the coast of SoCal, you have your cold air source right here over Hudson Bay. I want you to really pay attention here. Let's see if I can use like a little bit of a thinner marker. I want you to notice, oh, that might be a little too thin, especially given that there are so many black lines. Notice this right here, this like strung out piece of energy. That's what we call our confluence. That's literally almost the edge of the high pressure where like precip will not go past that. So where that sets up will be important, but you will see what happens as you get into Friday. So lots of things now. That cold air now coming like this, right? Pumping it down to the south, area of low pressure, a little bit more strung out, but it's about to get ejected out east. Yeah, ejected out east. And we're going to see that, bada boom, real quick as we go into Sunday. And it's like more of a strung out mess. And the reason, the European model is much slower, I will say. And it's because it's kind of holding this whole mess that was such a congealed ball out here. It's not kind of strung out. It's kind of holding it back a little bit. And it's going to wait for this little kink to come through and pick it up and kick it out. And you will see that. And we're going to get it out far enough to watch that happen. Maybe. Oh, yep, look, there it goes. Oh, guess it needs to render, and they kind of come together and boom, kicked out. And life is good to go. Now, if we look at the American model, I'll show you the difference here. Latest American, what this does, there's your, you can see clearly your cold air source up to the north. Right here, your hypesters will call this the polar vortex, but it really is just it's a low of the polar vortex, but that's what's driving down your cold air. You got your confluence line right through there, and then you got your little area low pressure all the way up there. Lots of circles. Let's get rid of them. This is Thursday afternoon. As we go through, notice how what this model does, it also hangs us back a little bit more, but it's not as strung out, and it kind of like they work together to kick each other out a little bit more out to sea much quicker, which is why this solution, can I zoom in here to the east? If I can put on some precip stuff that we are used to seeing, what you will notice is, look at how much further south. I mean, let's stop it there. This is 4 p.m. Saturday. Notice where it has precip, all right? You have the outer edge of snow right through there. What your European model is doing at the exact same time, look at that. It is not nearly as far south. You get snow all the way up here. It's also much further back. Instead of having snow already pushing in at 4 o'clock into Central Virginia, Southern Maryland, it's still all the way back in Ohio. So like those are some of the difference we're talking about. But the GFS model, the American model, look, let's zoom in here to the Mid-Atlantic. It almost never gets that mixing line up into, I mean, maybe it touches Scotland, but yeah. And look, that area low pressure is all the way down here, all the way down there on Sunday, versus on your European model. Look, literally, you can see the difference, what that does. Having it that close, you're getting ice across Southern Maryland. Having it, what we said, just about 50 miles to 100 miles east, southeast, you're not looking at that icy mix. Instead, you're looking at, well, snow. And then storm eventually gets out of here by Monday. So that's kind of a nice technical that nobody asked for overview, because I know a lot of you all like the science behind it. So I think that probably answers a lot of these questions. Caleb, thank you. Yeah, no snow predictions for me till tomorrow. There are other pages out there that are posting snowfall totals. I saw one page in particular. Again, I'm not at liberty to start naming people. I did that a couple of years ago, and people got very angry at me. But like, you have so many pages out there, so many people that like they just want the attention, and they don't understand like. This was never going to be an Atlanta 24-inch snowstorm like what was being shown on Saturday. This was always going to come north. And if you look back, you'll see that I've been saying this. But like they had official maps with like 19 inches of snow in southern Maryland. That could happen potentially if we see not this solution, but this solution occur. But you might be hard pressed to see that. Yeah, Natalie, I think Gettysburg, Southern PA is in a really good spot for this. Loving it. Thank Lizzie, you've been tracking. Yes, I love to support my sports teams. Not necessarily like they are the best sports teams right now, but PSU did win a bowl game. Nationals today, I will be honest, I have not been an avid Nationals follower since halfway through the 2020 season. I couldn't really tell you who's on the Nationals anymore. I will watch games, but like I don't track it like I did that magical season of 2019. Not to mention the Washington Commanders, which then I tell people I support the Commanders. And two comments always come. Debates over the name, which I genuinely don't care about. I personally, I mean, not that people want my political opinions, but I think Washington football team was iconic. I think Commanders tries to make this into something it's not. If you're not going to be the Redskins, be the Washington football team. I think that is iconic. And then people will comment on how bad we are. Kate, I should teach science. Kate, I tried. I suck at biology, and I will never pass a teaching certification exam to teach. I'm not good at biology. I'm also not good at like rocks. And if I was going to be like an earth science teacher, which kind of falls into this, I couldn't tell you much about, rock cycles. So I will rock out with social studies and do my science stuff on the side. But this seems, it looks like a lot going on. It looks like you all kind of get the idea. So I'll leave you out here with the headlines. We have an active couple of days. Well, honestly, between now and this time next week, I probably will have gone through $1 million of goldfish and put on 20 million pounds. But again, we're looking at precip that's going to be moving in here late Saturday, close to midnight. It's going to stay with us probably throughout the day Sunday, get out of here early Monday morning. Significant widespread impacts across much of the east. I mean, if I show you quickly here before we really sign off, look at winter storm watches, widespread. So widespread impacts. The question is, how far north does this storm come and mixing? Where does that set up? I do tend to think you're looking at a wintry mix getting southeast of I-95. I do think that will happen after a heavy burst of snow in the morning. But I think that's probably about all I got. I still got to record the 7-minute version of a 44-minute forecast. Gotta work on that, and then I have a lesson planned for tomorrow, so we need to get some work there. We're teaching the kids about the Revolutionary War, and we got to end the war tomorrow at Yorktown. Before we go to the kids, will do an explanation on the Treaty of Paris on Friday. Then we got to figure out virtual work next week, what that would look like. But not that you care about my personal woes. I hope that everybody has a good and safe evening. Stay tuned to JB Weather for the latest information. You can get your weather information anywhere you want, but I think you're going to find that reliable, consistent, local reporting. You're going to find it here on jbweather.net. And website's a good resource for you, as our Facebook, extra Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube also have all of my updates as well. So stay tuned. I'll continue to keep you updated. In the meantime, I'm forecaster John Bordash. Thanks for rocking out with me for the last little bit, and we will talk again soon tomorrow.
Check the forecast anytime online